Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome to the channel. And my name is Jeremiah, and I make videos all about living life as a young adult with a disability, that being spina bifida. And in today's video, guys, we are going to be talking about 10 things that I wish regular people knew about those with spinal cord injuries. So, without any further ado, let's get into the video. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the fact that people think that we are all sick. And that honestly is far from the truth. We do not have a sickness. We do not have an illness. It is not contagious. It is not a virus. It can't be spread. It's not some lethal pathogen or whatever. It is just a disability. Some people call them handicaps. Whatever you choose to call it, it's not a disease. It can't be caught. It is just like me, who is paralyzed. It is a potential completely break in the spinal cord. Therefore, it being called a complete paralysis or a incomplete. And incomplete means that the spinal cord was just damaged. And matter of fact, certain people who have full, complete spinal cord injuries can still walk with the assistance of certain tools like crutches, walkers, and whatever. And those who have incomplete can have a much higher chance of either being more freely able to walk without assistance or still with assistance with that. The second thing that we're going to talk about now is the fact that people think that someone has to take care of us. That also is very far from the truth. No one has to take care of us. Now, granted, there are certain individuals with certain disabilities that do have to require certain, like, in-home health care or a family member to take care of them, so on and so forth. But no, that is far from the truth. Not everyone with a disability needs or requires medical assistance or personal medical assistance within their house or wherever they live. People with disabilities can still manage to live full, successful, independent life, such as myself. I live by myself. I cook, clean, do laundry all by myself. I don't need any help with that. And with that ability to do those things independently, I mean, that itself just gives you extra independence. And extra independence for someone such as myself living with spinal cord injury is just an absolute, it's a very high confidence boost all in itself. Number 3 is people think that we cannot live alone. That also is very far from the truth. It depends, again, kind of ties into the second question. Depending on your disability, that's going to kind of determine whether or not you do need medical assistance or a family member to help take care of you. If you have the full capability of living an independent life all by yourself, living by yourself, doing your own chores, managing your own home, wherever you live or whatever, I strongly advise it for anyone out there who is capable. Don't always, try and rely on others, because at the end of the day, you're not guaranteed to always have help with you no matter where you are. So it's, in my personal opinion, it is always best to try and increase or to gain as much independence as you possibly can. But no, we can successfully live alone if it is in your physical ability, depending on your disability. And number 4 is people think that we cannot drive. That also is very far from the truth. Certain things in life take just a slight bit of adaptation to pull off or to do certain tasks, such as driving. No matter what your disability is, granted, there are certain disabilities that kind of do prohibit people from being able to drive, but most physical disabilities, I've seen people such as myself who can drive with just partial spinal cord injuries, or those that are full, complete spinal cord injuries. They can drive as well. It's just the use of certain adaptation devices, such as hand controls. Some people who are full quadriplegic still have certain technology and gadgets to be able to drive themselves as well. But again, we can still drive. It just takes a little bit of using our noggins to try and figure certain things out, get certain adaptation devices to do so, certain hand controls, brake pedals, acceleration pedals, whatever, to be able to do so. Number 5 is I wish people would stop saying sorry. Saying sorry, people see you and it's real demeaning. The people will come up to you and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, it's very demeaning, and honestly, it just annoys me to absolute no end. So stop saying sorry." Number 6, I do believe, would be that people think that we are fragile or weak. And again, absolutely wrong. We are not weak. We are not fragile. If anything, we are more resilient than regular people because again, we have certain ways of dealing with certain, past traumas, current traumas, whatever's going on in life. We are much more resilient, and I would highly say that we are much stronger than the average person. And number 7, personally, I think that this is the, biggest thing that people, would say or try and assume or whatever, and that is that we cannot have kids. Now, granted, there are certain people with disabilities who cannot have kids, but it is always best to try and figure those things out beforehand and as early on in life as you possibly can before, that time comes whenever you found that special someone where all of a sudden you figure out, oh, well, we can't have kids. So it is always best, in my opinion, to try and figure that stuff out first and then go forward in life. But we can still have kids. It just takes, same thing with the driving, it just takes a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of thinking to try and, in a way, reinvent the wheel to be able to pull off that task. But again, we can still have kids, we can still have intercourse, we can still do a lot of things that able-bodied people can do. It just, takes a little common sense and a little work to try and figure certain things out. And number 8, people think that we cannot have or hold stable income jobs. Now, there are certain jobs that do require certain ability to pull off that job, but there's certain jobs like retail, working at the grocery store, whatever, cashier. There's many jobs out there that you can do as a disabled individual. It just takes a little bit of using your noggin, figuring stuff out, and trying to figure out what will either work best for you or trying to figure out ways that you can go about doing that job so you can set yourself up for the best level of success. And number 9. This question kind of ties into one of the questions that I asked previously and earlier on in this video, but that is people think that we are completely paralyzed. That's not true. There are 2 different types of paralysis. There is complete paralysis and then there's incomplete. Complete paralysis is where there is a sever in the spinal cord, thus causing paralysis, and people with the complete spinal cord injury are still able to do certain things like walking, but it is going to potentially be a little harder for them because of the level of damage. And then there is the incomplete spinal cord injury, and that just means that there was not a sever in the spinal cord injury, but that just means that there was a form of injury or damage to the spinal cord injury. Therefore, those people who have just a incomplete version of paralysis, they have a potential higher chance of being more successful in walking, potentially without certain items like crutches, walkers, etc. And those who have complete spinal cord injury still are able to walk potentially. They just have a lesser chance of being able to walk more independently and still having to possibly rely on crutches, walkers, etc. And last but not least, number 10, people think that we are always depressed as people with disabilities, spinal cord injuries, you name it. we still all have the same, uh, occurrence of depression, certain, intrusive thoughts, whatever the case may be. But it is just how you manage that and go about dealing with those certain thoughts or feelings. If you decide to, take your situation that you have, depending on if you were newly disabled due to a car accident or some other accident in life, rendering you disabled, you have a potentially different aspect of dealing with that than someone such as myself, living 20 plus years with a spinal cord injury since birth. You have a different way of managing that, but it's always important to think of the positive over the negative instead of saying, oh, poor me, my life sucks, I hate life, and all these things. If you choose to think about the positive over the negative, you have such a more better chance of getting through those certain feelings or thoughts in life, and think of the certain things that you can possibly do in life. And hey, I want to, do this task. I want to, go jump ramps in my wheelchair, or I want to go play basketball, or whatever. Just because you are in a wheelchair does not limit you to certain events in life. The only limits that you have is the ones that you give yourself. But it is always important, again, to make sure that you think of the positive over the negative, and that will just help increase your quality in life, both mentally and physically. And if you ever need any tips to try and help manage certain mental health, I will be linking a video in the description down below that I specifically did on how to manage your mental health as a person with a spinal cord injury. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do me a huge favor. Make sure you like this video, and if you're not yet, go ahead and subscribe. Turn up post notifications so you do not miss any future uploads. I have some really fun things coming in the next couple of weeks or so that you guys are not going to want to miss out. It will be a very different type of video that I've never done on this channel ever before. But thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.